All right, well, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira just took place, and loud. Like, what else do you say? I called it in my prediction video because it sounded like I was kind of dismissive of Oliveira, which I didn't mean to be like that. It's just the writing was on the wall, and you look at the skill sets, you look at the past performances, you look at the caliber of opponents. Like, it was a no-brainer to me. And generally, whenever I think like a legend or a very respected fighter is going to get chinned in round one, I'll always kind of just be like, yeah, round two, just to be respectful, you know what I'm saying? But like, initially, I did think that this was going to happen in round one. Oliveira's style, go forward. Ilia Topuria, he always has to chase down his opponents, but so Ilia Topuria didn't really have to chase down Oliveira. And Oliveira did try the grappling at first, but then I think he realized it's like, wow, this guy's strength is on another level. And I love how people were saying, well, his power translates to 55? He knocked out Jai Herbert. He already fought at 55. Ilia Topuria, you hear the training stories and everything. They're saying like he's dropping welterweights and lightweights. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, this was really no surprise. However, it's kind of depressing at the same time because, like I said, I'm a fan of both. Obviously, I'm way more of a fan of Ilia Topuria than Charles Oliveira because Oliveira, to me, is like the same thing like Yuri, right? Where you love him, you love his style and everything, but his defense is just like, ugh. So it's hard to be like very confident on him for a win. And yeah, I'm really happy for Ilia Topuria. And you look at the post-fight interview and all that, where he was talking about what he wants next and all. He says he wants Paddy, which I get because it's probably the biggest money fight. Because you look at Arman Tsarukyan, he's a very tough matchup for anybody, and he's not the biggest name. Whereas Paddy Pimblett, Ilia Topuria probably looks at that as an easy paycheck, which I think it is as well. Paddy Pimblett, everyone, like, that's the thing. I was on the same thing too. Paddy Pimblett beat Michael Chandler. Everyone's like, whoa, Paddy Pimblett's legit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's like, yeah, you caught in the moment, you think so too. And that's the thing. Paddy Pimblett's very good. However, I do think that he needs to have a top 5 win before he even encounters Ilia Topuria. Because at this point, I think it's the same thing. As much as Paddy Pimblett's confidence stuff, you look at the crowd cam and the reaction, they're like, oh, like, they're trying to keep their composure like Arman, Paddy, and Gaethje. And you see Gaethje in the crowd, it's like, I'm sorry, Gaethje, fuck off. Like, I'm sorry. For the sake of Ilia Topuria's legacy, keep Gaethje as far away as possible. Not because Gaethje will win. It's just because that literally will do nothing for his resume. Nothing. So, you got Oliveira, who finished Gaethje. Holloway, who flatlined Gaethje. Ilia Topuria knocked them both out. And I get MMA math, but this time it's very applicable. And I feel like putting in Gaethje there, the UFC should be sued for fucking manslaughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, no, I do not think that he has the rightful claim for the next title shot. And you look at, so, another thing why I say it's depressing, because you look at Charles Oliveira's Twitter, he just writes, my apologies. It's like, fuck, man. It's hard to watch, but at the same time, though, as much as I feel bad for Oliveira, at least he did have the belt at one point. And he was on a tear. He had his run. He had the Olive era, you know, and it's just, it sucks because you look at Arman's tweets as well, and hindsight's obviously 2020, but he says, you better pray nothing happens to Charles because I'm the worst possible matchup for you in the division. There's a reason you're fighting the guy I already beat and not me for that belt. And that was on June 24th. So it was before the fight. And then 26th, Arman said, if you win, I will wipe the octagon floor with your face. I mean, pretty basic trash talk. And then 11 hours ago, it was never supposed to be Charles. I can finish Ilia. Simple as that. And he knows it too. That's why he's avoiding the real number one contender. And that's the thing. I don't think Ilia Topuria is intimidated or scared at all of Arman. It's just, he's probably like, let me get a little more footage on him and, you know, no rush to get him into that octagon. However, if you look at Ilia Topuria and what's next for him, like, and that's the thing too, Dana White was saying, well, I didn't call for Paddy to get up there. Why was that happening? And I think it was partly due to Joe Rogan. Like, Joe Rogan was just caught in the moment. He's like, oh, because Ilia Topuria started talking about Paddy. Paddy was in the audience. It is what it is. I wish Arman Tsarukyan made more noise as well. This fucking Arman Sarukian should have snuck up behind him when Paddy Pimblett was going in the cage and just step in and be like, no. You need one more fight. I'm the real challenge. And that's the thing. Aside from Makhachev, who's now moved up, Arman to me is the last true test for Ilia Topuria. Where I still think Topuria would win. It's just, I think it's the most competitive fight. And I think that's what you need to do for Ilia Topuria at this point. Because Oliveira, I know a lot of Oliveira fans were saying that he had a big chance, but literally, I couldn't think of a way that Oliveira beats him. And I feel like you need to have, like I said, for Ilia Topuria's legacy, you need someone who's actually an intriguing matchup. Because I get Dana White's upset at Arman. Like, fuck off. Like, grow the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the competition, right? So this is how I see it. Islam's gone. Holloway's fighting Poirier, right? So they're gone as well. So you got Gaethje. I think you should do Gaethje versus Pimblett. And then I think you should do Ilia versus Arman. And I think you should put both of those fights on the same card as Makhachev de la Maddalena. Build up the story with Ilia and Makhachev. And then since it's all questionable, oh, well, Arman show up. Oh, well, Arman fucking whatever. You have Paddy and Gaethje there to weigh in as backup. And they already have a fight booked, right? So the worst case scenario, that fight doesn't happen. It is what it is. And then as far as Dan Hooker, I don't know what you do with him. Like, you could do the winner of Dustin Poirier, or actually no. It would have to be Holloway regardless because Dustin Poirier is done. So hopefully Holloway wins that fight with Dustin Poirier, and then you can do him versus Dan Hooker. If not, it is what it is. And yeah. So moving on to the next fight. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I'm like, bruh. I was like, because you see the Roy Val versus Joshua Van fight, and it's like, whoa, like, you're just spoiled. Like, having a fight of the year like that is crazy. And then you watch Pantoja just kind of like ragdoll Kai Kara-France for the first 2 rounds. It's like, or sorry, not first 2 rounds. It ended in round 2. My bad. Or sorry, round 3. And yeah, first 2 rounds. And I was just dreading it because I was like, is this going to be another lay and pray? Like, ugh. But then Pantoja got the submission, so I was very happy about that because that's the thing. What was Kai Kara-France's game plan going into that? Like, did you seriously think a guy putting his belt on the line was just going to sit and strike with you? And that's the thing. I don't know if it's a city kickboxing thing because Adesanya, he's looking fairly decent with his takedown defense. But as far as grappling, I think city kickboxing needs to import a lot of new guys. Or maybe France needs to go around and find, not necessarily a new gym, but maybe a new grappling coach. Because, yeah, his grappling defense was abysmal. He was just on the ground the whole time. I get the leg lock is a nightmare. Or, sorry, when he wraps it around your waist. I get that's a nightmare to get out of. But at the same time, it's like, this isn't a short notice fight. Like, you've had a whole training camp for this. And that's the best you got doing all those theatrics outside of the octagon, like, oh, I'm gonna walk through him, I'm gonna knock him off, this for my country, for my people, blah, blah, blah. And that's how you show up, man. You know, I don't get it. And then, yeah, as far as the next fight for Pantoja, no-brainer. Joshua Van, they walked into the press, or the cage post-fight, which was amazing. I love to see that. And I think Dana White was saying something, it's like, oh yeah, that's something we don't do, or whatever, when it was talking about Paddy. But it's like, getting the next fight, getting the next storyline, the UFC desperately needs hype and build-up. And it was annoying to see. I was hoping for Joshua Van and Pantoja to have a little animosity, just a little something. And, you know, maybe that's just the reality TV side of my brain being like, oh, give us something more to talk about. But it is what it is. They're all respectful. I'm sure Joshua Van was tired after his war, which that gets me to my next fight. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Wow. Amazing fight. I'd give the first round to Van, and then the next round 2, it was Royval was picking up the pace and everything, and then round 3, it was very close, and then Joshua Van got the knockdown at the end. I'm like, boom, that solidifies it, done. And one of the judges, I'm pretty sure it was 30-27, which arguable for sure, but I think Royval definitely won round 2. So yeah, no, amazing fight of the year. I heard Dana White was paying him his win bonus as well, which by all means give them a fucking 100K bonus as well, which that's why I was saying that we needed to have these 100K bonuses in this card, because next year, because this card obviously in hindsight it was really good. Like, you got the Joshua Van fight was amazing, Topuria always shows up. Talbot was a decent fight, I guess. But next year, International Fight Week, get 100K bonuses guaranteed. Stack the card, because this card needed to be a lot better. I'm sorry. But don't even get me started on the Poirier hallway card. Dog shit. Dog shit. But yeah, that's a story for another day. But yeah, amazing fight from Royval versus Joshua Van. Amazing, amazing, amazing performance. Both of their stocks have risen. And sorry, I thought I was sneezing. And yeah, both their stocks have risen. Brendan Royval, I don't think he's going to drop that far in the rankings, even though Joshua Van was far down. It was short notice, and Royval put up a hell of a fight. So I feel like Royval should definitely stay in the top 5. I don't know what's next for him, but yeah, as far as Joshua Van, depends on how his grappling will look, because that's the thing. Pantoja will watch that performance of Royval versus Van. He's like, yeah, I'm going to probably try to Kai Kara fence the performance again. You know, just take him down, rag him, and then go for the submission. Because, yeah, if I'm Pantoja, I want no part in this striking with Joshua Van. No, thank you. Years were lost off their lives, Royval and Joshua Van. And I'm watching it, I'm like, how the fuck has no one been dropped yet? Like, obviously, they got dropped at round 3. But, like, before that, I'm like, Joshua Van's landing clean shots. And I'm like, wow, the heart of Royval, man. And that's the thing, Royval didn't even have to accept this. He could have been like, nah, number 11? Hell no. But, so, all respect for Brendan Royval. I feel like the flyweights don't get enough love. And it is what it is. Like, I'm guilty of it too. But for this card, I watched all the flyweights attentively. And, yeah, I was very, very impressed. Aside from Kai Kara fans. Kai Kara fans, piss poor performance. Pretty sure I've seen a statistic where it's like he's only had 2 fights in the last 1,000 days or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, Kai Kara France, this was a complete mismatch. And yeah, so his stock will definitely go down the tubes for sure. So yeah, moving on. Great performance, like I said. Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Why the fuck was this on the main card? Right? I said this in the earlier prediction video. I was like, why the fuck is this here? And not to be disrespectful, it is what it is, but like, neither of these guys are championship material. Neither of these guys are ranked top 5. How the fuck? I'm pretty sure beforehand they were the third in line, like right after or before Kai Kara France and Pantoja. They switched it around, obviously, rightfully so, because Royval is ranked number 1. However, no, terrible fight. Like, Renato Moicano, he dropped Dariush in round 1, and then just decided not to follow up and let him back into the fight. And Beneil Dariush did really good on the grappling, but it's just watching both of them gas out midway through round 2. It's just like what are you guys? Abus Magomedov and Michel Pereira? Like, I get you guys are like 35, 36, but I'm sorry. Bare minimum at the top 15 of the UFC, regardless of weight class, and that includes your fat ass heavyweights, regardless of weight class. You should be, unless you're doing like a barn burner like fight like Royval versus Van. If it's a regular fight like this, 3 rounds minimum. I get, panting at the end of round 3, but being gassed at round 2, it was just terrible. And then watching Moicano have no answer for Beneil Dariush, especially being a grappler, you'd think he'd have something, he'd have some sort of urgency to get off his back. Absolutely abysmal. And yeah, I get I was annoyed with the guy talking about the second loss with Moicano at the press conference, but hey, I mean, I guess hindsight's 20/20, as I always say. And yeah, as far as Beneil Dariush, remember in the post-fight press conference, he's like, I want to be champion. Okay. Like, no, not a chance. I mean, obviously they could do Dariush versus Dan Hooker. I don't know if Dan Hooker would want to fight down, but yeah, like I said, I'd like to see Dan Hooker probably versus Holloway next. That's what I wanted to see as opposed to the Poirier fight. But yeah, if you want to move up Dariush, you could do that. You can also do the rematch of Mateusz Gamrot, but it is what it is. I don't know. And then you can always do Fiziev as well, but I think Fiziev should go down. So yeah, as far as Moicano, I don't really know what's next for him, man. Honestly, you could do him versus Chandler maybe, because I think Chandler might be able to get that one done if Moicano can't get it to the ground. Yeah, you can do Moicano versus Grant Dawson. I don't know. I'll be honest, I hate to be like this, but I don't really care what's next for either one of these guys. None of them are going to be like top 5 dangerous material, so it is what it is. very bad performance, gassing out in round 2. Not a hope in hell either one of you guys are going to become champions. Like I said, both these guys are fun guys. You know, they're good guys, but I think the divisions passed them up, and Father Time has definitely showed themselves with these guys. So it is what it is. Fortunate, but hey. Now, Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Wow. Peyton Talbot figured out the grappling. He did get taken down, it is what it is, but he showed drastic improvements, and that's what the thing is about a lot of these predictions, where people are like, well, Peyton Talbot got out-grappled. Okay, he's young. That's the difference between a young fighter and an older fighter, right? Young fighters are, if they're in a good gym, obviously, like if you're in O'Malley's camp where you just show up the same way 5 times in a row, it is what it is. But as far as Peyton Talbot and Corey Sandhagen, like those types, where you're adding grappling to your games, I love it. And he's making so much improvement in his striking as well. Because Peyton Talbot, I would have liked him to be a little more active, and he was getting hit a few times, which I wasn't really thrilled with, but I get he had to deal with the grappling, and that's the thing. Anytime you're fighting a grapple-heavy style, your striking is definitely going to go down. So it is what it is, but yeah, as far as Peyton Talbot, he looked good, clear win, and just the domination he had at the end of the round, I really think the body language and everything showed that the judges, he had that one. And yeah, no, kudos to Peyton Talbot, good performance. As far as his, I know everyone was screaming fraud check and all that, I still think he has a lot to offer the sport. I just think his momentum slowed down a bit. This will add some fuel to the fire. However, I guess we'll see where he goes from here. I think he called out Adrian Yanez. I really like that fight. Get a good striking fight going where I think especially Peyton Talbot should deserve a title, or not a title shot, sorry, a striking fight, because that's the thing. As much as people are saying like, oh, look how improved he is, I'd like to see him against another striker and get a highlight reel to really rekindle that hype train. Because I think that Raoni Barcelos one really fucked him over in the sense of like the star power. So yeah, I'd like to see him versus Yanez. It's a really good call out. Amazing fight. And yeah, as far as this card, hindsight, like I say, I thought, what did I rank this card? I think I ranked it like a 7 or something like that. Just because I was like depressed about the main event because I knew it was going to happen. In hindsight, decent card for sure. Decent card for sure. Especially, like I said, compared to the Poirier Holloway one, dog shit. But yeah, that's a story for another day. But yeah, Peyton Talbot, Felipe Lima, a little more activity, but decent fight overall. Benil Dariush versus Renato Moicano, pretty bad. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van, damn near fight of the year so far. Pantoja versus Kai Car-France, piss poor performance from Kai Car-France. It is what it is. Like I said, he needs to figure out something in his grappling, because how the fuck did you expect a champion to go in there and strike with you the whole time? Especially when he knows you have the power. I mean, come on. Ridiculous game planning. And then Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, it was a no-brainer to me. Easily fight of the, or performance of the night for sure for Topuria. Like, wow. And yeah, as far as Topuria, like I said, I want to see him against Arman. I think Paddy needs a little more work. Paddy, Gaethje, Arman, Ilia, makhachev, JDM, all on the same card. Book it for MSG. Because that's the thing. They're like, well, what about Tom? What about Tom? Throw him in October or something. I really, as much as I love Tom Aspinall, I don't really give a fuck about the Cyril Gane fight. Like, I'll watch it for sure, and it's obviously exciting, but there'll be no build-up. And I think everyone knows the writing's on the wall for that one, too. It's like, Tom can just play the striking game with him, which is unwise. So I think Tom's just going to go grapple him. And I get Cyril Gane has experience and he's improving, but I'm in no rush to see that. Same thing with Magomed Ankalaev versus Pereira. I'm in no rush to see that one either. So I'd like to see them. So yeah, Makhachev, have that build up with Ilia Topuria, boom. And then if let's say Makhachev loses and Ilia Topuria's like, oh, I'm not impressed with that or whatever, then you got Paddy and Gaethje there ready to go. And I don't think Gaethje's going to win that one. And that's the thing. If Gaethje doesn't want to accept it, see you later. Do the same thing. Book Hooker versus Paddy. Same thing. No difference to me. And yeah. All in all, amazing fights. But yeah, a little depressing. But as far as Ilia Topuria's star power, I hope he shows up a bit more as far as like the promotion for the next fight. I get he's easier for Paddy Pimblett, but I think even if you do the Arman Tsarukyan, and I really hope they do the Arman Tsarukyan because that's the only serious matchup I can take right now at lightweight. They'll have some history because they don't like each other. I'd like to see Ilia Topuria versus someone he doesn't like, so we have a better build-up. And yeah, rest up Oliveira. It is what it is. Honestly, like I always say, you know, when a performer or a fighter with a lot of damage or gets finished like this, it'd be decent for him to retire. I don't think Oliveira's going to want to retire. I think he's probably going to want to retire on a win. So, hey, it is what it is. But, yeah, all in all, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.